Hello there, good morning and welcome to this, the WP Builds newsletter. This is number 52, which kind of makes me think that we've been doing this for a year now. It was published on Monday, the 4th of March 2019, and it's all about the WordPress news for the week commencing the 25th of February 2019. My name's Nathan Wrigley, and a couple of things before we begin. I'd like to point some links out to you. Everything that I'm about to say is over at the wpbuilds.com website. Go to wpbuilds.com/subscribe. Please sign up to our newsletter so that we can tell you about this, the WordPress Weekly News, but also the podcast on Thursday. You can join our Facebook group. I'd really appreciate that. There's about 1,900 people in there. Join our YouTube channel, and everything that we do goes onto the YouTube channel. We've also got Messenger updates, Slack updates, and I'd very much appreciate it if you feel able to go over to iTunes and give us a review. That would be most welcome indeed. The next link for you is over at wpbuilds.com/webinars. We've got a couple of webinars coming up. We've got Groundhog, Social Web Suite, and also we've got Lifter LMS coming up over the next few weeks. So go and subscribe to those. Even if you don't attend, we'll send you a video so that you know what's gone on. If you fancy contributing to WP Builds, go to /contribute, and there is a chance that I will get back to you. We'll share our screen and we'll show off to the world something that you've done that you're proud of. Could be anything at all, WordPress related or not. /win if you'd like to enter a competition. At the moment we've got a themify.me competition. We're giving away a whole heap of stuff from that company. 1 lifetime club license, 3 master club licenses, and 5 ultra theme licenses as well. So that's /win. The next one is /deals. Just go over to that page. There's a whole heap of stuff, many WordPress products that you can get percentages off. And, why not? If you're going to be buying them, why not use those links? Okay, and the last one is /advertise. If you feel like helping out the WP Builds website and podcast and news items, I'd really appreciate it. We've got banner ads and audio inserts. Really appreciating our sponsors. Speaking of which, the wpbuilds.com newsletter is brought to you today by Kinster. Are you tired of unreliable or slow hosting? If so, check out Kinster, who takes managed WordPress hosting to the next level. Powered by the Google Cloud Platform, all their plans include PHP 7, SSH, and 24/7 expert support. Migrate today for free at kinster.com. And we really do genuinely thank Kinster for their support, keeping the lights on and making it possible for me to do things like this newsletter. Speaking of which, let's get stuck into the news for this week. Okay, the first item of many that I've got from the WP Tavern website today is entitled Block Management Features Proposed for WordPress 5.2. WordPress 5.1 has now been downloaded over 3.6 million times, but we have, improvements to be made. Things can still be done. We now have the block editor as the default editor, and the idea of this post is it's telling us about some proposals to make it so that you can hide particular blocks, because as time goes on, more and more blocks are created, many more features are added, and it's getting a bit cluttered. So a few different plugins have come along in order to enable us to manage which blocks are displayed. For example, there's one called Gutenberg Manager, one called Disable Gutenberg Blocks, and a few of the block creation plugins, so for example, Advanced Gutenberg Blocks and Co-Blocks, have got their own screens so that you can switch things on and off. Well, the proposal is really, why don't we put this into Core? This seems like something which is going to be required, the ability to switch blocks on and off inside of the editor itself. So if that gets taken on and the proposal goes into Core, I think this would be a sensible idea. Go to this particular article, the first one in the show notes, to discover more about it. Okay, speaking of the block editor, we now have another article entitled Block Editor Now in Beta for WordPress Mobile Apps. So you can now experiment with the block editor, and they've got like a little handy GIF, and you can use a very slimmed down set of features if you're editing on the mobile app. So for example, you can get to paragraph, images, headings, page breaks. But importantly, you can switch on that new editor and switch off with a toggle switch. So it's quite nice. I don't know if it's on iOS, but the Android app is certainly being shown, and we're on version 11.9, and you've got this capability. So I think this is quite nice. Adding the block features into the mobile app is obviously where this wants to go. And we now have this for the first time. So if you do edit things on a mobile app, that will be certainly beneficial to you. Okay, the next one is called WordPress Contributors Propose Shorter Time-Based Release Cycles. Well, you may not know, but Gutenberg itself was released on a much shorter timescale than WordPress itself. So every couple of weeks, regardless of what was going on, we got a new version of Gutenberg. WordPress has sometimes gone for many, many months without updating itself. And the proposal here is that in the future, WordPress should be done on a time basis, not a feature basis. The hope is that this would lead to less stress for contributors. There'd be some sort of predictability, and delays wouldn't be possible because it would roll out on the correct time frame regardless. Now, it's kind of mooted that 2 weeks is too short for WordPress updates, but possibly we could roll over to a once every 4 weeks or once a month, and add some stability. Things like VS Code have been doing this for a while. Firefox has been doing things like this for a while. So the thought is, why don't we do this for WordPress? Now, there's an awful lot of dependencies in WordPress, which makes this a much more challenging project to do it with. But personally, I quite like the idea. You know, if it got to the third of the month, and every third of the month, for example, WordPress was being updated, we'd all know that that was the time to sit down and look at whether we should be updating our sites and possibly things breaking or not. But who knows whether that will happen, but it's an interesting idea. Okay, so the next one is called WordPress Designers Seek Feedback on Navigation Menu Block Prototype. So one of the 9 projects that Matt Mullenweg identified as a priority in 2019 was getting it so that you could figure out how your menus were going to be organized and structured within the block editor itself. Well, we have a prototype of what this looks like now. To be honest, I quite like it. So in the sidebar, you can organize which items are going to be featuring in your menu, switch them on and off, and reposition them and so on. And really, it's just a bit of a first attempt. We are clearly heading in this direction. The old menus feature is going to at some point disappear, and we'll be left with this navigation menu block. And really, they just want a whole bunch of feedback. Is this the right way to be going? Can we access all of the features that we need? Is it intuitive? Does it work for you? And from the screenshots, I confess I haven't played with the real project, but from the screenshots, I think, well, this looks entirely the right way to be going. A little search bar so that you can search for content within your site. It's everything that the menu item at the moment is, but shoved inside a little sidebar in the editor. So I quite like it, and go and contribute your feedback should you have any. Okay, the next set of items I'm categorizing under the heading of community. The first one is entitled Get Ready for Pressnomics 6. Pressnomics is going to be held in Tucson, Arizona between Wednesday, September the 11th and Friday, September the 13th. They hire out a whole ton of rooms in a hotel. I think they might even take the whole place over itself. And so it's a very kind of exclusive little conference all about WordPress. I confess I don't know an awful lot about it, but no doubt if you've been before or you've heard about it, now is the time to book the tickets because they're going to sell out really fast. In fact, by the looks of the page that enables you to purchase them, many of the seats have already gone. So just a heads up about Pressnomics if that's something you are interested in. It is happening and you need to start thinking about getting some tickets. This next article is from Tom McFarlane, and it's called Taking Aspects of WordPress for Granted. It's a very, very short little read, and it's all about the fact that he's kind of saying how amazing it is that everything in WordPress is completely open to you. You know, if a project isn't working in the way that you want it to, That is to say, if a plugin isn't working the way it really needs to work in your unique situation, you can go in and just hack around with it and fiddle with it and make it your own. And he's saying that whilst this might annoy some people that you fiddled with their code, this is one of the luxuries and the benefits of being in the open source community. That is taken for granted. You can do whatever you like with the code. It's not a slur on the person who's created the product or the plugin. It's just a different way of trying to achieve the same goal. And maybe sometimes we do take that a little bit for granted. This next one is all about WP Engine and a flaw that has been discovered. The article is entitled Major SEO Issue with WP Engine. It's on the beanstalkim.com website. I'm not going to try and spell that out for you. It's all about the way that WordPress and WP Engine handle pagination. So, for example, if you've got let's say your posts archive is really long and at the bottom there are multiple buttons, so you can scroll to page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. On WP Engine, by default, a setting is switched off, which means that it won't be able to serve up anything with double digits. So page 1 through to 9 is fine. By the time you get to page 10, 1 and a 0, and 11, 1 and a 1, and so on, it stops working and it redirects to the home page. Now, there is a toggle switch which you can use to make it so that this is not a feature, but they've done it in order to improve the speed. But obviously this has considerable impact upon your SEO. So go and check this article out if you have very large archives going up to double-digit pages, and just make sure that you've got this taken care of. The guys at WP Engine did write a response. They do know about it, but obviously if you're using WP Engine, this is certainly something worth looking at. Okay, over at WPMU Dev this week, they've got an article entitled Best Image Formats for Websites Compared, PNG, JPEG, GIF, WebP, and SVG. I'm not going to go into it, but it's just one of those recurring things that I always forget which is the best image type to use in different situations. Talks about the new WebP format. It compares when you should be using things, how you can compress them, which is the most suitable for which type of position on your website. Is SVG an image at all, and so on and so forth. So it's just, if that puzzles you, like it constantly puzzles me, maybe that's worth checking out. Okay, the next few are all under the title of plugins, and the first one that I want to bring your attention to is, I just think this is lovely. There's a SaaS app called Stencil, and it's a very, very slimmed down image creation tool. It's super simple to use, and it allows you to create images, put text on, put shapes on, organize it all, and perfect for creating images for posts. Well, they've integrated this directly into WordPress so that you can save things immediately into the media library, so that you don't have to download them to your computer and then upload them to WordPress. Now, my understanding is that this now works directly with things like Elementor and Beaver Builder as well. But I just think this is so fabulous. It's the kind of thing that you really, really wish was inside of WordPress itself. You basically click Add Media, and then instead of Upload Files in Media Library, you've got a new tab called Stencil. You create your images, and in they go, straight into your media library. So perfect for creating thumbnails and things like that. Just absolutely fabulous. I couldn't recommend that more highly. Okay, the next one is a comparison on the wplift.com website with Toolset Forms and Gravity Forms. If you're a license holder of both of those products, Gravity Forms and Toolset, you might be interested to know, we mentioned last week that they've got this new form builder in Toolset, and the person writing this article just compares how easy it is to achieve certain limited things within Gravity Forms and the same thing in Toolset. And it turns out that some of the interface tweaks that Toolset have made mean that it is in many ways much more user-friendly. Now, I use Gravity Forms an awful lot. I love it, but I can also see from the screenshots and things that are on this website that maybe if the thing that I need to do doesn't require Gravity Forms, it may be that Toolset, if you've got a license lying around, is just the thing that you need to build straightforward, easy-to-use forms with their new drag-and-drop editor. Okay, the next one is entitled Gumroad plugin for WordPress adds Gutenberg block for embedding products. If you use Gumroad as a way of selling products, it's a very straightforward, simple solution, kind of perfect for selling one thing at a time. So for example, I've bought various plugins and themes via Gumroad. Well, they now have a Gutenberg block. There's not really a lot to say about it other than the fact that you click on the Gutenberg block, drag it in, and you now have the option to add your Gumroad products, buttons, and so on and so forth. It's pretty straightforward, but if you're using Gumroad and you're using WordPress, this seems like a bit of a no-brainer. Speaking of e-commerce, this next one is called Ecwid, which is ECWID, which is an e-commerce platform. Ecwid e-commerce plugin adds Gutenberg support, focuses on small businesses to compete with WooCommerce. Well, Ecwid is a cloud-based rival of WooCommerce. It's a fully featured e-commerce system. And now you can do a whole heap of things with a WordPress Gutenberg plugin. It allows you to create a layout of products. It allows you to create a single product layout, and it's all done within the Gutenberg editor. So you toggle buttons, change colors with a color picker, and so on and so forth. So what I would say is this is very useful for those people who are already using Ecwid, but we have something new, Gutenberg integrated with Ecwid. Perhaps this is worth looking at. Okay, on WP Builds this week we had Chris Badgett, one of the founders of Lifter LMS. Just go to WP Builds and check out the latest podcast and you can listen to him talking all about the learning management system plugin Lifter LMS. Okay, that's it for WordPress. These next couple of items very briefly. The first one, if you've ever been in need of some video and didn't really want to pay for it, it was, you just needed something cheap and cheerful. Well, there's now a new website called mixkit.co, which allows you to download more or less license free any of the videos on the website. I'll read the license quickly. The Mixit license allows you to use any of our items in your commercial and non-commercial projects for free. You're permitted to download, copy, modify, distribute, publicly perform and broadcast the items. Your rights are non-exclusive, worldwide, sub-licensable and ongoing. Attribution is not required. However, we would appreciate if you credit Mixit where reasonably possible. So there is a little category picker where you can pick out things like music, animation, nature, and download them. What more is there to say? I'm just about to click on the business and tech section, and there's about 12, 13 videos in there, which might be worth looking at. So, it's not the biggest library in the world, but if you just need something cheap, cheerful, and easy, there you go. That might be worth doing. Now, I don't know if you've ever used the inspect item in your Chrome browser, but if you wanted to carry out a site audit to see how quickly things load, if you click on the inspect button, the far right-hand menu at the top is called Audit. And when you click on that and you click Run Audit, it starts up something called Lighthouse. Now, I didn't really know about this, but it enables you to get information about things that are causing your page to be loaded slowly. What are the things that are causing it to not be optimized as well as it could be? And apparently, according to this Search Engine Journal article, the primary purpose of Lighthouse really is to try to measure what it's like for an actual user. So it's not trying to do it as if it's a robot. It's trying to look for what users might experience, which is different from what a robot might discover. So, for example, it's going to highlight things like, well, nothing loaded within the first couple of seconds, or, oh, actually, things did load in the first couple of seconds, and that might have been enough to keep a real person around. I don't know enough about it to go into more detail, but needless to say, if you're into SEO and optimization and you haven't seen Lighthouse, go and check out this article because it explains a little bit more about its purpose, and it's built right inside of Chrome already. Okay, there you go. That was the weekly WordPress news, number 52 for this week. I hope you got something from it. The WP Builds news was brought to you this week by Kinsta. Kinsta takes managed WordPress hosting to the next level. Powered by the Google Cloud Platform, your site is secured like Fort Knox and runs on speed obsessive architecture. You get access to the latest software and developer tools such as PHP 7, SSH and staging environments. The best part, their expert team of WordPress engineers are available 24/7 if you need help. You can migrate today for free at kinster.com. And we thank Kinster for their support of the WP Builds news. Okay, I will hopefully see you on Thursday for the podcast. If not, I'll catch you next Monday for next week's WordPress news. Bye-bye for now.